There would be the Union Jack flying, troops, no matter of what race or creed or color, in British uniforms, women who, if not naturally frigid, acted so in order to seem more British, and the most uneatable food. India and South Africa were British. China and Egypt were not, but were ruled from London all the same. The Chinese had surrendered Hong Kong, and even on mainland China, the collector of customs was a British official. Egypt was a British protectorate. Greece was a dependent kingdom, its ruler of British blood. The old queen's sons and grandsons sat on every throne from Moscow to Sweden. The British royal family, the House of Hanover, was of German blood, but now, like almost every royal family in the world, it served England. India was a British colony, as was Burma. Siam paid tribute, while Tibet was a vassal state. At an enormous cost in lives, Afghanistan had repelled 3 British invasions and was almost unique in Asia in remaining truly independent. The world was largely at peace. From Nepal to Nova Scotia, a Pax Britannica held sway, as the Pax Romana had in the time of Christ. The British Empire had no farthest limit on the planet. No river, not even the vastest oceans, bounded its sway. And the peoples of the far-flung dominions, protectorates, spheres of influence, and possessions of the empire were so ready to supply troops for their own domination that the imperial crown had no need of mercenaries, and even disdained a standing home army of any size. The result was that soldiering was not only a poorly paid occupation, it was one that scarcely existed. The depressed economy at home and the unlimited supply of ever-willing-to-fight Irish ensured that the British army never went short of a man, and, experienced mercenary that he was, Casterton was not fool enough to look for employment in the armies of Great Britain's few ambitious enemies. Not only were they certain of defeat, they could not afford decent pay. While outside the British Empire the world was largely at peace, and peaceful, too. Great Britain had treaties with her traditional enemies, Russia and France, that kept the other European powers from adventuring against any of them. The few conflicts that did break out between the smaller states of Europe, or even Asia, were quickly settled by the diplomatic intervention of British ambassadors, who mediated the quarrels like kindly uncles presiding over nursery squabbles. Except for France, which had an elected president, there was a noble ass in the person of a king, prince, or tsar on all the thrones of Europe and Asia, from Moscow to Tehran to Tonga, and most of them were children or grandchildren of Victoria and her German consort, or were puppets who owed their crowns to the British. But if the rule of the crown promised peace, it also guaranteed poverty. The seizure of the people's common lands through the Enclosure Acts had made paupers of England's once prosperous yeoman class, and a similar fate had been exported to all of the colonies. All power emanated from London, and all wealth flowed from there. The riches of most of the world poured into London, and into a very few pockets. The small handful of gentry who owned the British Empire had instituted a form of democracy to keep at bay the dangerous revolutionary ideas of America and France. The House of Lords held only the titled nobility, while their younger brothers, cousins, and nephews sat in the House of Commons, where the prime ministership, albeit through the process of the ballot box, passed from father to son and uncle to nephew. The common people had no say at all in the doings of Parliament, and expected none. Although every Londoner knew the stately buildings, Parliament was a mysterious and exclusive territory, as remote as the moon to most Englishmen. There were few jobs to be had, all of them bad. Germany, France, Italy, and the USA had come late to the Industrial Revolution, having seen and avoided the worst of England's mistakes. And now,